So a question that I had come to me a couple times, and I guarantee probably 15 to 20 of you likely were confused and just didn't ask the question. From 84 up on the TV from last week's homework. What's up? Shouldn't need to. Do we have a group of 5 then? You have a 5? Who's sitting beside Matt? Yeah, you can see it. We need to fix this. We have an odd number and it's making things very awkward. You'll have to lower that. You might need teamwork. 84. Open your math journal or whatever you do your homework in. This is not a gotcha. I'm not coming around to check who did it. Just open up your math journal, whatever you did your homework in. Waiting until I see people with their math journals open. In 84, and I'll drag it down onto the smartboard, it gave you some data. 34, 48, 52, 61, yada, yada, yada. A lot of numbers, right? Now, if you were stuck on this, what's something that you can try? If you were stuck on this, what's something you can try? Grant? Clicking help. Like, I need help, right? So if I click homework help, it's going to take me to that specific problem. And then actually, it utilizes a graphing utility to help you out. So it will walk you through the process, finding the mean, finding anything else you need. But I think most of us were okay with mean and median. It was part B. It was the histogram. Now, if I don't know what the word histogram means, where do I look for words I don't know, aside from the dictionary? You can obviously use the dictionary, but that'd be harder. Mark?
Well, I just searched it up on my phone.
Yeah, you can Google it. Yeah, you can just search it up. Where, with CPM, is there any CPM place that we could find it? We saw this when we first looked through our textbooks. Flip to the back of your textbook if you have it out, or with somebody. Put your eyes on the back of the textbook. Look to the back and then start working your way back forwards. So if you flip to the back and you start working your way back forwards, you're pretty quickly... Say it loud, Aubrey. Glossary. Everybody find the word histogram in the glossary. Remember, what is it? 581.
Yes.
In your glossary, if you go to page 581, you will see this. What makes a histogram different than a bar graph, do you know?
So bar graph is separated, all the different dimensions. Yeah.
There's no space between our bars. There are many types of bar graphs. All histograms are right up against each other. So this stack is telling you how many people fell in the range 0 to 15. If we pop back over to our textbook, what does it want me to do? Make a histogram with width 15. They've helped you out by giving you the first problem in your textbook that asks you about a histogram mimics what's done in the glossary. Use your resources effectively. If you don't know what a word means, look it up. You can do what Marvin did, just straight up Google it, but be careful, the internet's full of wrong answers. There are right ones out there, but you got to know how to get to them. Your textbook is going to have an accurate answer for you. So use your glossary. So we would then want to do what first with our data? When we're just given a list of data, and it's close, it hasn't been done for us yet, but it's close to being done up here. We're going to make a histogram, yeah. Put it in numerical order. So the first thing we would want to do here is order our data. Then we break it up by 15s. So 0 to 15, 15 to 30, 31 to 45, 46 to 60. Then count how many are in each section. Now, in the glossary, it breaks down how we do this. This would say there were 12 people, because remember, frequency means how many times it happened. So this is 12 people took 0 to 15 minutes to get to school. How many people took 15 to 30? 10, right? How many people took 30 to 45 minutes to get to school? 6. How many people 45 to 60? 8, and that's how we read a histogram. How many people 60 to 75 minutes? None. How many people 75 to 90? This person should probably change schools. It takes them between 75 and 90 minutes to get to school, but yet they do it. Actually, my wife did that her senior year because she wanted to go to post-secondary. She drove over an hour to get to school because education's worth it. But you could find a school closer. In Coshocton, you couldn't find a school closer that did what she wanted. That's how we set up a histogram. If you need any more help with that, please check with a friend. You can Google it or come see me. We can work it through AOR extensions. We can build it. We'd want to put this in order, then break it up into the sections of 15, then count how many, build your graph from there. Now, if you use the online utility like the homework help, you can print that and include that in your homework. So if you use the homework help and you use this tool to make your histogram, you may print that page. Okay, so if you're a tech person and you want to use that, that's an option as well. Cool? Now, somebody, please fill me in on yesterday. I know Mr. Smith was here, but quite honestly, I'd rather get the student perspective. How'd things go? What did we get through? Where is it? I can't find it. It is here. No. Here. No. Here. Yes, but very zoomed in. So yesterday's lesson, 225. So check your notes from yesterday. See what you got. Somebody fill me in. So take a moment, jog your memory from yesterday's notes. Yeah, no. Why, yeah, no. What, yeah, no. Liam, just speak up louder. What do you mean, yeah, no? I heard you say, yeah, no. I heard somebody say, yeah, no, which normally means like, oh, yeah, no, we didn't.
Well, I mean, yesterday, we went over stuff in the book. With the teacher was kind of talking about what happened in that class.
Okay. So the letter from yesterday with all the rectangles on it, so blank rectangles. If you weren't here yesterday and you need it, it's right here. Anybody absent yesterday or lose it? Unit rectangles. We all good here? Anyone? We all good? You have one of these now.
Yeah, I was talking about
Well, we're switching back and forth. When you start, the first problem was about tightrope. Then we do parts of parts, portions of portions. When he went off on like that. Which, like, I'm really guilty of that sometimes as well, but when you're a guest teacher, you can kind of enjoy the moment. So, I need you guys as groups to start looking at problem 86. We need to use those good group skills we remember. We are going to reassign roles here soon, but I took a step back from roles just to get us comfortable with each other as groups before we have like the formal facilitator and resource manager and all that. So problem 86 walks you through using this unit rectangle and what the unit rectangle is going to represent. And if you want to make a little note, the whole thing is your 100%. So when we look at the entire rectangle, right now how it's labeled Garden Road Middle School students, the whole thing is 100%. So if we have half, they shade in half, and they make it look appropriate. So start working through 86. We'll give you probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes. Please fill in your unit rectangle as it is appropriate for the problem. And then really what we're asking down here is if the total school population is 120, how many would be attending? Then if you get done with that, move on to 87 or 88. Give you about 5 minutes. Thank you very much, guys.
Discuss this problem with your team. If you want to know how many students to go to government school to be able to answer this question, why or why not? Once you have reached agreement on this issue, ask your team. Oh yeah, because only 3/4 of students have active permissions of the school title.
Just to take a really brief pause, if you were to describe what parts got to go, how would you say that? If you are that far in the front. Does anybody know how you would say? I don't want an answer. I want to know how you would say what part got to go. Yeah, Leva? For Alex? Yeah, well, so I don't want like a number answer. So first they tell us half sign up to go. Then they tell us 3/4 bring back their permission slip. But was it 3/4 of the whole school?
No, 3/4 of the half.
That's exactly how you say it. 3/4 of the half. Keep working, but that's exactly how you say it. 3/4 of the half will get to go. By the way, guys, I have rulers always up here. If you haven't seen them, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. You may always use that if you want to draw straight lines easier. My advice to you, buy a ruler. Okay, this is bad advice. But my advice to you is buy a ruler and break it so it fits in your binder.
What?
I'm not joking.
It's
Like,
waste of money. Yeah. I
well,
did that 1 year.
the thing is, you can buy them for super cheap. Like, you go to the dollar store, you can normally find them for like $2 for $1 or something like that. Or come ask me and say pretty please, and I might have some ruler pieces to give away. But a whole ruler will not fit. But if you find that you have like broken it, and you and a friend could share it, this is perfect for making straight lines. Not for measuring, but just for making straight lines.
I've
actually done
that.
Alright, Tintin. Also, you could stick a note card or something really hard like cardstock and hole punch it. Use that for straight lines. I used to keep a quarter in my binder to draw circles because I would get bored in class and want to doodle. So I needed perfect circles. I couldn't draw circles. You know, if you shade on the edge of a quarter, you can use it to like draw on your paper because the graphite gets on it. Alright, so let's pull it back together for a second. Even if you're still working, let's discuss this as a group. So, especially since I wasn't here yesterday, you should use some cards. Can't tell if you used them or not. Liam. Why did I write 120 up here? What does that box represent for us in this situation? What do you mean, the students? In the school, right? It's everyone. So, the whole box, I know is the whole school. And by the time I get down to E, they tell me the whole school is 120. So, if I then look at what was happening first, half the school wanted to go on this trip, which is really great. Half the school wants to go on the math trip. What would each half be if I'm just thinking through this? 60, right? Because if I break 120 in half, I'm going to have 60 and 60. Sorry, that 6 kind of looks awkward. My screen is off orient right now. I need to fix it. How do we then take this and draw 3/4 of the half? So I'm going to scoot down. I'm going to draw a new rectangle because I don't have... Make it a little bit bigger. So we already have half of it sectioned off. How did you guys scoop and coach me? Or you just want them to do it? Do it! What color do you want? Let's do red. Red will go on top of that. Be careful, I made it 7 boxes wide, I'm sorry. It's hard to do it. So approximately we, cut it into fourths. Doesn't have to be perfect, my sister stole all the art skills. Then how do you show who gets to, who's gonna get to go? Shaded in what? 3 of the 4, right? Yeah, it kind of sounds simple when you say it. But first we shaded in 1 of the 2. Now we turn the other direction, shade in 3 of the 4. What do you end up with? 3 of the 8. Thank you so much. Now, if you are paying attention and you set this into your memory, this will help you immensely in your math future. So I need your eyes on me. I need to feel, at least for a moment, like you think what I'm saying is important. Just lie to me for a minute. It's okay. Of means multiply. So many people get this backwards or mixed up. Per means divide. Now, I understand there are situations that the word per is in the problem, and you end up multiplying. But in reality, and we'll explain why that happens, of tells us to multiply. per is really talking about a rate, a division, a comparison. So when we have 3/4 of the half, all we do is 3/4 times the half. So please write that in your notes for me. Set up the fraction, multiplication dot fraction. Did you get to yesterday discussing how you will find a solution if you weren't using a unit rectangle? Okay. This is why we, never mind, I won't say what I was going to say. Please draw me arrows straight across the top, straight across the bottom. This is super easier than addition. I hate using the word easy because easy is relative. Addition with fractions is hard. I'll admit to that. It's hard. You got to use common denominators. You got to figure out what the common denominator is going to be. You got to do the multiplication. There's nothing to do when we multiply fractions except go straight across, straight across. What's 3 times 1? What's 4 times 2?
8.
There's my answer. No common denominators, no other work to do. Straight through. That's it. So please go ahead and put the rest of that work there. Now, really, what are we talking about here? Well, we had the statement 3/4 of the half, but I still don't have a label. You don't have to write this part. 3/4 of the half. Be careful bending those rulers, please. They break super easy, and pieces like fly off. What are we talking about here? 3/4 of the half. Patrick?
How many 3/4 are in a half?
Well, not quite, actually. In this problem specifically, what are we talking about? What have they, like, if I ask you for units, what's our units here? Monica, what do you think? Or Nathan, or Matt, or any of the people at the top of the call, or Alan? That hand went back down real quick. Because look at the problem. What is the problem talking about? Alex? People, right? Like if we're looking for a unit, it's discussing people. So when we talk about 3/4 of the half of what? What was the half of? It was half of the school. What was the school population? So this is 3/4 of half of 120. Well, we already did this, right? What was that? Somebody said it. 3/8. So what we really have here, 3/8 of the 120. Now, 120 is not a fraction, though. Shoot, I'm going to change what color I write that in, though, because it's not a fraction. Grant? Any number, any real number, any rational number, any of the numbers we work with this year can be made into a fraction. Just put it over 1. Now, can I do the straight through multiplication? Yeah. Ask yourself, can I do this and can I do this? You bet you can. So we get, can we do this in our head? 3 times 120, who can do this? 360. Ooh, 8 times 1? 8. Now, make your life easy. Forget about the 0 for a minute. Can we do 36 divided by 8? 8, 16, 24. Crap, no. Can we do, will it simplify at all? What can they both be divided by? 2 immediately. They're both even, right? So, if I divide by 2 here, I have to divide by 2 there. We get 180 over 4. 2 again?
Yeah.
Here's the secret. This would have worked. 36 doesn't work with the 8. But 360 does. So, but if we didn't know that, it doesn't matter, because if I divide by 2 again here, I get 90 over 2. Can I divide those both by 2 again?
Yeah. 45.
I can cut 90 in half. What's half of 90? 45. So when everything is all said and done, we get 45 students. Here's the geometric way to do that. So keep your attention on me. I'll give you a second to write all this out. Up here, way up there, we said we had 60 in the top half and 60 in the bottom half, right? So we had, we had 60 up in here, 60 down in there. Then, to the top half and the bottom half, what happened to them? Alex? They got split into fourths. Can I break 60 into fourths? What's a fourth of 60? A fourth?
No.
So what's a fourth of 60? Cut it in half, then cut that in half. 15. So now I'm trying to pick a good color here. This is 15, this is 15, this is 15, this is 15. Will that make 60? This is 15, this is 15. Now these guys don't matter, but these are all 15s as well. The people who get to go are my double shaded. Can I add those up? Depending on your brain. This is not a right versus wrong. Depending on your brain, we'll decide whether you think this is easier, the geometric way of thinking through it, or whether this is easier, the algebraic way. Doesn't matter which you choose. You get to the same place. So let's try this strategy on 87. Howie has 5/8 of a pizza left over from last night. He loves leftover pizza. He then writes a half, he then eats a half of the leftovers. Figure out what he ate. Or actually, I forget. Does it ask what he ate or what he has left? Yeah, I think what he ate. It'd be the same thing, by the way, if you ate half. Haha, trying to be funny. Not really funny, just trying to make you think. Now, even though it's a pizza, I would represent this with a rectangle. So, conveniently, you have that rectangle on your paper. You discussing this as a team, make sure everyone's drawing this out. You want to get practice with this? It's on your master year. I'm going to ask you to draw this out, to geometrically represent a portion of a portion. So please practice this. I'm telling you now, it will be on your assessment. Now be careful. I bet there's some people that want to split their rectangle here, here, there, and there to make your 8 slices, right? The red 4 on top, 4 on bottom. The problem there will be when I go to look at 5, that would be my 5. And splitting that in half gets weird. If we make nice long pizza slices, like breadsticks, then we can more easily show 5 of the 8. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 8s with 3 8s that they probably ate the night before. So my advice, and really what's appropriate, when you're splitting up to show a single fraction, make all the lines go the same direction, either all horizontal or all vertical. Then the next fraction, turn it. So then my half line that I'm going to draw is going to go horizontally instead of vertically. Try that out. Check each other's drawings. See if there's any way you can make them better, if there's anything you tweak. Do not erase. If you decide to draw another one, we can copy this as many times as we want. Just draw it on a new rectangle. You can play with it different ways. What does of tell me to do? What does of tell me to do? Thank you, Delaney. Multiply. Matt, how do I show half of 5 8? It's kind of a 2-step process. Yeah, so I have this. How do I cut it in half? How do I show that? Draw the line through it. That's what you said, man. Tell me what you actually meant to say. Draw the line in the middle. That's what you said, man. Tell me what you meant to say. Shh. I'm talking with Matt. Matt, what direction do I need to go? Vertical or horizontal? Vertical. So I'm going to draw this way. We want to go horizontal here. So the first thing you would say when you're going to talk about drawing the line, draw a horizontal line because we did verticals. So different fraction, change direction. Okay, so now we'd say draw a horizontal line halfway through my shape and shade one of the halves. Doesn't matter whether you went upper or lower, you shade one of them. So if I shade my lower, and I like to go a different direction, especially if you're using pencil, helps to go a different direction to shade these. All of the half gets shaded. It doesn't matter that these were already missing. What got double shaded? Okay. 5 out of a total 16. Now if I look up here, half of 5 8. Can I do 1 times 5? What is it?
5.
Can I do 2 times 8? 16. I think this is easier. But if you're an artsy person, you're a visual person, you might think this is easier. We got the same answer. Doesn't matter. We're good. So if the pizza originally had 16 slices, we could say he ate 5 of them today. If it originally had 8 pieces, can I reduce this to 8? Yeah, I can. How do I do it? Divide by 2, right? If I do the same thing up here, I get 2.5. So if there were 8 slices originally, then we'd talk about 2.5. But if they asked the pizza place to cut it into 16, then you can eat a full amount of slices. This is the simplest fraction that we have. This is actually complex. It gets more complicated. So we would stop at 5/16. I just wanted to talk about, I know not all pizzas are 16 slices. Questions? Of means multiply. Try 89. We got like 5 minutes left.
With 89?
Yeah, 289. Like parts A, B, C, D. Oh, sorry. My bad. 288. I didn't realize I was skipping.
Oh, here because I don't use anyone. It's cross your
We can literally think about this visually because if you look down onto a garden plot, it'd probably be a rectangle. The first step is probably easy. Half the garden's carnations. Right? So whether you go vertically or horizontally is up to you. I'm going to go horizontally first. Half of this, all carnations. Great. Whatever. I'm just going to write carnations across here. Then, Ella, how do I show the next step? Yeah, now I'll go even further. How many lines do I need to make thirds? I only need 2 lines to make thirds. So, how many are red? I got my thirds, but how many of the thirds?
1/3.
1/3 of the 50%. So if I shade in the whole 1/3, it's this entire thing. But how much got double shaded, where my first shading was really a word? Yeah, 1 of the 6. So 1/6 of the whole garden is red carnations. For what it's worth, shout out to my mom. She won 8 first prize medals for her flowers and 7 third prizes at the Shakopee County Fair. My mom is an awesome gardener.
My mom's mom.
So, what fraction of the garden is not carnations? Emma, what do you think? What is not carnations?
Wait.
Half. Notice they're not asking about red carnations. They're just saying what are not carnations. So that's a half. If a half were, then a half aren't. And then, how would we express this with a number sentence? Anyone give me how you would talk about what portion of the garden or how many red carnations?
One is 1/3 of 1/2.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the garden is 1/3, or the red carnations are 1/3 of 1/2 of what? What's the 1? Of whole. Garden. So, our red carnations are 1/2 of 1/3, or 1/3 of 1/2 of the garden. Then if we know how big the garden is, we can actually figure out how much space or how many plants. Awesome. Hopefully this all makes a little bit more sense today. If you did not really do the homework last night, please get that done tonight. Let me know if you have any homework questions, otherwise we're moving forward tomorrow. Thank you guys very much. It's not hole punch. Since when do they make spirals that aren't hole punch?
The secret hole is from the inside.
That's just rude.
Oh my god. I can't
I would call and complain.